Hello and welcome back to the Heltware Nerds podcast. So this one's been a long time coming. I don't know if you guys will remember, but last year we did a Disney episode for our Not Rob saga, and in the lead up to that we asked what you guys thought was some underrated Disney movies, and we had a vote on what was the most underrated Disney movie. And so today we're going to actually discuss those underrated Disney movies. And I'm joined by...
I'm Caitlin. I'm from Disney Adults Edition.
I think you were also on the Once Upon a Time episode?
Yep.
I'm Ashlea. I'm on quite a few of these episodes, mainly when it comes to kind of melding together the worlds of history, myth, and legend with nerdoms. So you'll see me on the Dragons episode, on the latest episode for the Real Fantastic Beasts of Harry Potter, any sort of Halloween episodes. Spoiler alert, yes, I will be returning for... Well, I say returning, I've not really left, have I? The idea was I was going to be the Halloween version of Michael Bublé, and I've just been enjoying myself so much, I've kind of stuck around. So, yeah, I'm Ashlea, and I'm very interested in today's topic. Because as you will know, Ethan, but as our listeners will not, we've been filming these kind of in a random, out of order sync. So that's why I kind of feel like I've gone away and come back, because I haven't actually recorded for a while.
Yes.
Because I went and I had a little nerd. And like I said, I'm the queen of Halloween. I love the unconventional. So when it comes to Disney films, I would, you've got the classics, you've got your Toy Stories, you've got your Disney princesses, but let's face it, they're not the films I actually want my kids getting really obsessed about. I want them getting obsessed about, Basil the Great Mouse Detective, or not real life, not real life, they're all films, animated Stargate that is Atlantis, So I'm interested in what are the most underrated Disney films, so we can show them some love in this household as little nerd grows up.
Now, I actually need to go back and watch the TikTok where we got our most underrated animated film. I don't remember which one was voted on, but I think it was if my memory serves, it was a toss-up between Atlantis, and I think Atlantis did win. And Basil, the Great Mouse Detective.
Can I check?
Yeah, I'm gonna go check right this second.
See what the people said.
I remember, because we definitely released an episode, a TikTok, with the results. So you guys crowned the most underrated Disney movie Atlantis: The Lost Empire.
Great choice.
So yeah, I thought it was. I put it in the description. So yeah, it was Atlantis. Atlantis was the most underrated, which I agree with.
That film does not get enough love. Where is the live action for Atlantis: The Lost Empire?
It's called Stargate. No.
We can do this joke, obviously off podcast. This is the first time we've made it on podcast.
Yeah.
This joke right off podcast. And I don't actually know which one came first. Just for people that have never ever watched Stargate SG-1, I'll just do a quick, what is Stargate? Stargate is about a scientist, that Daniel Jackson, who has done loads of little research and has decided that he thinks, he has a theory that there is these gates, these portals on Earth, that if you type in certain codes, you would be able to traverse the universe. And a wealthy benefactor kind of shows up because she's heard about his research, and she decides to fund his theory. And so the US military get involved somehow. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I actually watched the film.
So just to interject, Stargate came out in 1994, and Atlantis: The Lost Empire came out in 2001. So yes, Stargate did come out first, and Daniel's research was specifically on the aliens built the pyramids.
Aliens built the pyramids. Thank you. Thank you. It's been a very, very long time since I've watched a movie.
The
The
wealthy
movie-
benefactor you're talking about is the daughter of the guy that found the gate in Egypt, which proves Daniel's theory.
Okay. Ethan, take over then, because you obviously remember the movie a lot more than I do.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
No, go on. It's your
Thank you.
podcast.
No, hey, it's all of our podcasts, so don't just put it on me. But no, it's this is something we both did, but this is something I used to watch with Granddad like all the time. So this is something that's like ingrained in the back of my head. Daniel Jackson worked at the museum like Milo Thatch. His theory was specifically that the aliens built the pyramids. We had no like thingy on the pyramids whatsoever. And I think her name's Catherine. Her father is the one that found the Stargate in Egypt during an archaeological dig. Then it was took over by the military. When Daniel starts like deciphering certain hieroglyphs, they realize he's probably the only one that can decipher how to actually activate the Stargate, because they've been working with an engineer to get a power source. That's where Samantha Carter comes in, and because she designs the power source for the Stargate, and then Daniel figures out how to activate it and works out the 7 chevrons that activate it, and they put it in on the dialing computer. It activates, and then him and Jack go through the gate and discover a whole new planet.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously SG-1 takes over, and we find out that it doesn't just go to that one planet; it goes to tons of others too. And then we get the best character, which is Tilk.
Yes, who is Gould, which is a kind of humanoid symbiote.
Yeah, he's a Goa'uld soldier. Yeah, a Jafar.
For the gods. Yeah, Goa'uld soldier. Sorry, yeah, Jafar. And his role is that the idea is that the Egyptian gods are alien beings, but in order to kind of exist on Earth, they need kind of like a humanoid host to take over.
Because they're giant snake things.
Yeah. So the more we describe this, we're describing Alien meets Atlantis.
Which, ironically, there is a spin-off series of Stargate called Stargate Atlantis.
Yeah. Which has Jason Momoa in it.
Or as you like to call him. Come on.
I'm not doing it. No.
She calls him Jason Momoa.
Why have you outed me like that?
What's wrong with it? It's funny.
Yeah, because it's so not his name though. Sometimes my brain doesn't read letters, even though I'm not dyslexic, and therefore creates names. Just as a side note here, does anyone else do this with fantasy books, where there'll be like an old English name for like a fae character, or like the book set in like ancient Greece, and so the vowels are different and how the names are, and you see something that's like it's supposed to pronounce like Ashlyn, but you kind of see it and you go, I'm going to call you Alistair or something like that, because your head just can't.
Yeah, I do that all the time. For ages, I was not calling Hermione.
Oh, you weren't a Hermione, were you?
No, I had no idea how to pronounce it. I just called her. It was the only thing I could say.
Yeah, it always gets me when there's like actual like dramatizations of books in the end, and then they're like, and now introducing Okra or something, and I'm like, what? Who is that person?
Yeah.
It takes me forever to go, oh,
I mean,
that's the one.
I like reading Brandon Sanderson, but I have to have the audiobook on while I'm reading Brandon Sanderson. Otherwise, there's no way I'd be able to read any of the names.
It's at the I want to say, is
the
it
Stormlight Archives, Mistborn, Elantris.
My life, I born in postpartum. My brain is fried. How did I get Myth of Kings when I meant Mistborn?
Because Way of Kings is the first book in the Stormlight archive and Mistborn is a completely different series, you've combined the two books together.
Right, okay, there we go. Point is, I know we're getting off track from Disney, but yeah, I'd love to hear, if anyone's got any really, really funny ones. Like Hermione being just for ages.
Yeah, so I know Mum called Hermione Hermione when she used to read them as bedtime stories.
Yeah.
It was watching the film. So yeah, there are a bunch of names that you could get wrong, especially when you're reading certain fantasy books. I know Lord of the Rings is definitely one, especially when you try and pronounce the actual names of them. Go see our Sam's episode to watch Ashlea and Rob try and pronounce the actual name for Sam and Frodo.
Yeah, good tie-in. But yeah, so as we've just explained with SG1, doesn't that sound familiar? A scientist who has a theory that nobody is believing, who has brunette hair, little round glasses, and is low-key very attractive, with a mysterious rich benefactor who has had this belief in this strange, otherworldly place their entire life, willing to fund said scientists, only to then go, here is a bunch of other engineers, doctors, we're going to build a team around you that includes these kind of other thinkers, but also includes military people, only for them to then end up in this otherworldly place. And of course, we haven't mentioned Shara, because just as Milo Thatch meets Kida, spoiler alert if you haven't watched it, but as we've just said, it came out in 2001, so it is 24 years old. Milo stays in Atlantis with Kida. The end of the Stargate movie is that Daniel Jackson stays on the planet with
Abydos with Shara, yeah.
So that's why we call
and not for
Stargate
anything. Yeah, not for anything. But I know it's not the same name, but Abydos, Atlantis.
Yeah.
There's something there.
In both movies as well, there's this kind of otherworldly technology that the military is wanting
to get their hands on, yeah. And in both iterations, the people that don't stay on the planet, so for Stargate, that's Jack, and for Atlantis, it's the team with everybody. They all decide that they're going to say, oh, the person died there, then there's I don't know what you're talking about. In Atlantis, they even go so far as to burn all the photos that they took of Atlantis while keeping their promise to Milo to keep Atlantis a secret.
Oh, yeah, because in episode 1 of Stargate, Daniel only comes back, doesn't he? Because Shara's been kidnapped.
In Stargate SG-1, the TV series, yeah. And Jack has to basically disclose to the military that he lied. That Daniel is fine.
Yeah. So, I guess you've got 2 movie/series recommendations there, but we're talking about the Disney animated one, so we're going to talk about Atlantis. And we've kind of hinted as to why it's so underrated, but I guess we should probably talk a little bit more about why you should go watch this movie. And I suppose once we've discussed a few movies, we can then look at why we think they might have been overlooked.
First off, when it comes to Atlantis, if you're a science fiction or mythology nerd, you need to go watch Atlantis, The Lost Empire. Disney gets a lot of stuff wrong. Case in point, Hercules. One, it's set in Greece, so why is he called Hercules? I'm not going to get into that because there are a bunch of stuff, but that is just one thing that I am going to point out.
We can do a Greek mythology adaptations in popular culture episode if you want to talk about Hercules.
Yeah, but I'm just going to point out that there are instances where they get things wrong, but this is obviously Atlantis is a myth, so there is no set culture for Atlantis. Look, case in point, look at the MCU, right? In the Marvel comics, Namor, or Namor as he's called in the comics, is from Atlantis, but that's not where he's from in the MCU. They went with the more Mayan interpretation, and even you go with the different pronunciation of the name, obviously, as well. Then you've got DC Comics. Where is Aquaman? SpongeBob even has their own Atlantis. Percy Jackson, Poseidon resides where? The Little Mermaid, technically it doesn't take place in Atlantis. It's Atlantica, but very similar. Right. So there is no set mythology for Atlantis, and the one that they come up with is very, very interesting. You've got this, like, basically cold fusion energy source that's running everything. Flying technology. You've got the fact that, again, spoiler alert if you are planning to go watch this film, the beginning of the movie opens with the devastation of Atlantis. And Kira's mother is pulled into the energy source. We don't know why. We don't know what it is. I'm not going to tell you why, because that's told to you in the movie. She's pulled into the energy source, and then a barrier forms around the main city of Atlantis as the tidal wave crashes down over the rest of it and sinks the entire continent. Only the main city survives.
I think that's actually a really good point to just make, actually, about the myth of Atlantis. Atlantis isn't just one, like, little town or country. Like, in the myth, it's an island by itself, so it is its own continent.
Yeah.
And fully fleshed out big civilization. So when people say they're looking for Atlantis, and they make out as if they're looking for like 2 or 3 big ruins, like a couple of temples, sort of thing. They're not. They're looking for a massive underground cityscape, like an entire civilization that's buried under the water. Probably not as big as most continents and countries. It probably was its own kind of like little island.
It would probably be akin to the UK, but maybe smaller.
Yeah.
Probably on the lines of Scotland's borders, Wales.
Yeah. But it was classed as its own kind of individual civilization.
So with that, and it being its own civilization, you've got all this stuff that can build together, and they built a grandiose mythos, really, for it. When you think about what they built for, and I do like the fact that in the Disney version, only the city survives. So when they say they're looking for the lost city of Atlantis, they mean the lost city of Atlantis, because the continent is gone. It's destroyed. Only the city survived. I do like the fact that they did that. There's tons of things about Atlantis that are good to watch. The villain in it, without spoiling who the villain is, because it doesn't seem like they're going to be a villain when you first watch it, it's a good twist when they turn out to be a villain, because you grow attached to them just like Milo does. And when Milo is surprised, so are you. Yeah, you could argue that Milo was probably being a bit naive, but so are you as an audience. Which is why I think Milo is the perfect insert character when you're watching the film. Because when you watch it the second time round, you can see the little context clues that you probably should have picked up on. And some of you might pick up on it on your first time watching it. But I watched it as a kid and I didn't pick up on them. I probably pick up on it now if I watched it for the first time as an adult. But if you're a kid and you're watching it, you won't pick up on the clues. You'll be shocked at who the villain turns out to be.
So I just want to fact check myself. So I was looking. One second. Oh, sure, I'm trying to make a point, dude. I just looked it up, and in the original Plato myth, Atlantis is an island, not a continent, but it is an island nation. So we're right in saying it is a whole land mass, but it's not as big as a continent.
Yeah. So But even so, everyone always says they're looking for the lost city, not the lost island of Atlantis.
Yeah, it's an entire civilization. It's not just the capital city.
So yeah, it's interesting that you bring up Plato because Milo Thatch actually mentions Plato by name when he's discussing his new discovery. He's practicing his pitch to the board of the Smithsonian at the beginning of the film, and I watched the film in preparation for this episode, and he practices his pitch before the Smithsonian board, and one of the things he says is when the Atlantis myth was first mentioned by Plato, and he gestures to a picture of Plato and stuff like that, and then he goes on and he mentions the Shepherd's Journal, which is the MacGuffin for the film, sorry, and then he says that everyone says that Atlantis was off the coast of Ireland, but they're wrong. It's a mistranslation. It shouldn't be an R in the word. It should be a C. It's Iceland, not Ireland. And it's like, oh, cool. That's me just basically summarizing that whole interaction. Although then the board are a bit of jerks and he didn't actually get to do his pitch. But at least we got to see it. So yeah.
Then the thing is as well about the party that Milo has try and find Iceland. It's a great diverse cast in the film as well.
Yeah.
Even in terms of you've got multiple ethnicities and backgrounds.
You've got
You've also got really strong female characters. Which
the radiologist, the radio lady. I always get the title of the job wrong, but the chain smoking.
Yeah, and she's like a communication
expert. Yeah,
isn't she? And then is it Marie? I want to say Marie, the
Puerto Rican mechanic.
And then of course you've got the second in command is also female. And, I'd argue our secondary primary character, but
our secondary
protagonist.
That's the word. I couldn't think of it.
Yeah, me neither. Our secondary protagonist is female, Kida.
Yeah.
The princess of Atlantis. And so, for me, watching this, because I'd have also watched this as a child as well for the very first time. You were seeing women in not traditional female roles. You've got to think about the fact that this is just after the Disney Renaissance. So, yeah, you've had a couple of films that kind of sit outside of the Disney princess arc, but a lot of them are still heavily, as we'll go on probably to discuss, very kind of boy orientated rather than kind of towards girls. But this film also kind of showed girls kind of different role models outside of being just a princess. So it was very cool. And, as someone that absolutely, watched The Mummy as a child and decided I was going to be an archaeologist, this film, just watching Milo kind of go off and find an ancient civilization. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go off and be a badass female that would go off and find a discovery that could change the world.
So, her name is Audrey, the mechanic.
Audrey.
I went and got their names by getting up the cast. So it's Audrey for the thingy and Wilma for the chain smoking communications officer. Why does that keep going out my head?
Does Moleman have an actual name?
I will look that up.
While you're on it, Moleman is what they affectionately call kind of like the tunnel expert, because obviously they're having to
the geologist.
Yeah, the geologist. Oh, is he actually supposed to be just a geologist?
Yeah, he is a geologist. He's a geologist.
Because they seem to just portray him as a guy that likes to dig in the ground, and that's it. just a geologist. I meant like, is these wide roles supposed to be geologists? Because
Yeah.
obviously geologists don't just live in the ground or really like dirt. They analyze the ground, layers of ground to see what it means. I don't think it completely was lost on me that he is supposed to be a geologist.
Yeah, they've all got a proper
role.
They've all got proper roles. Yeah, they're not they're not thingy.
But they are all very interesting characters. Like in that way that we just said, Moleman. It is given to him as an affectionate nickname. He does like it. I don't actually know what his actual name is.
I'm getting it now, but I can't find it.
But he's very, very French and very kind of. That's one of his characterizations. Like they really do up the accent. But he's also, they all have kind of distinctive personalities and something to say as well. I would say that even if like the group that go on the expedition, they're not background characters.
No.
There's nuance, I guess, with each of them. And like you said, the mythology that they build in the film is very in depth. You can tell that whoever worked on the film really had a passion for what they were creating.
So, his name, I am gonna butcher this, is Gaetan Moliére.
Oh, okay.
I will put that in the description. He was played by Corey Burton.
Who's Corey Burton?
I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, for a name that I can't pronounce, his actor's name is very easy to pronounce.
I thought this was that was supposed to be a revelation of some kind.
No, I was just shocked that because obviously I was looking up the character.
You were expecting
like a really French name, and then it was just Corey Burton.
Fair enough.
So,
but yeah, and then obviously we're a nerds podcast, and Milo is a quintessential lovable nerd. So of course, there's going to be love for the character of Milo. But I think we'll move on from Atlantis because we talked about it a lot.
Before we do, you said that Milo was hot, and we can't not say that, like, this film had a thing for drawing, like, virtually every character as attractive.
Oh, yeah.
Except the characters we weren't supposed to like. Every character, or that was specifically designed to be kooky, like Mole or Cookie, every character was designed to be attractive. Specifically Milo and Caity, but, like...
No, I would argue Audrey is attractive.
Audrey,
Francis,
Helga, Joshua, Vinny.
Oh, it's Vinny I'm thinking of. The bombs expert, yeah.
The bombs expert, yeah.
Yep.
Like, background Atlanteans.
Yeah. Everyone is just a little bit attractive, yeah.
So, they knew what they were doing. Anyway, moving on from that.
I was going to say this actually builds us nicely, in a way, into the next film we're going to talk about, which is Treasure Planet, because they also gave Jim Hook. Is he? Yeah, he's still called Jim, isn't he?
He's still called. It's all the same names except it's in space.
Oh, same name. Okay, cool. So the character of Jim, our main character in Treasure Planet, they gave him the quintessential 90s boy haircut.
Oh, like, yeah, he looked like he stepped out of a boy band.
He does, yeah. He looks like he could have rivaled Leonardo DiCaprio.
They should have done a live-action Treasure Planet while Leonardo DiCaprio was young enough to play Jim Hawkins.
I will say that unlike Atlantis, not every character is attractive in Treasure Planet. Obviously, no. Dougal is a dog human. Is it called Dougal?
Yeah. But you've got Jim, you've got Jim's mum, you've got the cat captain.
Yeah, I don't understand how the captain is... She is kind of attractive, and she is supposed to be a cat. Like a cat humanoid.
Yep.
And the professor is a dog humanoid.
Yeah, and they, spoiler alert, have kids.
Yeah. Very, very strange. And of course, we still have the character of Long John Silver. But Again, Treasure Planet, it took a kind of well-known story, not a myth this time, but an actual like adventure book that would have been well known to children as like a bedtime kind of read by I want to say Robert Louis Stevenson, and it
I'm
decided to kind of change things and just make it cool for the modern age. So yeah, in pirates in space pirate.
You were right. Robbie Louis Stevenson wrote Treasure Island,
Woohoo!
putting that English lit degree to work.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, again, that is a fantastic kind of movie that kind of embodies that sense of adventure. It's got a good soundtrack as well, from what I remember.
Oh, it's got a fantastic soundtrack. I've got that on my Spotify playlist. Like, I love the soundtrack to Treasure Planet. I don't know why, but I've always had a soft spot for Treasure Planet. I used to watch Treasure Planet like on repeat. It was one of my favorite movies growing up, and the relationship that they decided to give Silver and Jim in that film was peak. Like the father son dynamic they give them both, to the point where like they play that song over everything, and it just hits you in the feels.
So they kind of really do up, don't they? That kind of relationship that you have.
Yeah. I mean, there's that sort of relationship in the original, but it's not as like prevalent. Whereas this adaptation specifically, like it has a montage. It has like a very sweet song over the top of the montage. It has Silver teaching Jim how to sail ships. It has him teaching him how to tie ropes, mess about, and all that stuff, while he's like suddenly slowly getting softer and softer and softer throughout the entire thing. And the crew are like you see the pirate crew that are like secretly aboard. Spoiler alert, but like Treasure Planet, this film, like Atlantis, this film's been out for years, are starting to notice and take note. Specifically, he looks like a lobster. I always forget his name though.
The first mate.
Not the first mate of the ship they're actually on, but the first mate of Silver.
Okay.
He's like a red lobster-looking creature.
Group.
I'm gonna
spider-like creature.
Yeah, he looks like a spider. Yeah, like a spidery Scroop. Yeah, that's it, Scroop. He's the one that mainly notices it, and it all culminates together when Silver like kind of chooses Jim over him and stuff like that. And then you get the whole thing at the end where Jim and him are like fighting over the treasure and trying to get to safety, and he like pulls a fast one on old Silver, and instead of being mad, you just see a big smile on Silver's face, which I love. It's a great like movie of like family relationships, but it's tied to pirates. It's weird.
What I will say as well is, going back to the whole montage with a song over the top that shows bonding, how very early 2000s filmmaking.
Oh yeah, it's definitely early 2000s filmmaking.
I'd just like to shout out that the comic character in this is called Ben, and he's like an alien robot, and he is played by Martin Short. So like,
and he's literally missing his brain.
Yeah, so for those people that also, because like we're of the generation that would have watched Martin Short as himself, like in films. But for our more Gen Z type listeners and younger, he's the guy in Only Murders in the Building. And he's funny. So, this film does kind of have it. But to be honest, it has Emma Thompson and Joseph Gordon-Levitt as well. So it has a stacked cast.
I mean, so did Atlantis. I know we didn't actually mention it when we were talking about it, but Milo Thatcher is played by Michael J. Fox.
Yes, he is. How could I forget that?
You know, Marty McFly.
Yeah, yeah.
Seeing as though we're a nerd podcast, I'll tie back to one of the biggest nerd things ever.
We haven't actually done it.
No, we need to do a Back to the Future episode. Or should I say, shall we do a Back to the Future, but with a different paint job, Back to the Future with a different paint job that's Western, because they're all the same movie with slightly different paint jobs.
Very fair. We'll probably just talk about all the trilogy in one go.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this was kind of Treasure Planet in the same way that Atlantis kind of very much felt, especially before they actually get to Atlantis, feels like a Jules Verne novel. Like we've said, Treasure Planet is based on Treasure Island. So these two films were very much like Disney harking back to kind of adventure stories.
Yeah. The very action adventure.
Well, but like the traditional adventure, like bedtime sort of stories that you might read before you go to bed, sort of thing, or that children would have traditionally read before they went to bed.
And and this might have a reason as to why they didn't do as well, but they are films outside of the traditional princess brand, which were marketed. I know we've moved away from that in the modern era, but at the time, Disney had this thing of marketing specific films to girls and specific films to boys. I remember growing up that there were specific films that were marketed towards me, and there were specific films that were marketed towards you or our other siblings. And these ones were more marketed towards the male audience, which doesn't mean that obviously girls and families can't enjoy these films. They can, and they should have been marketed to the family as a whole. And I think they would have done much better if they had have been, but they weren't marketed that way.
Okay, so no, I completely agree. I've just found something though, which I think might explain why we're talking about both these films as being really similar in terms of feel and what we thought they were trying to do. Because as it's probably become apparent, we are Google. I don't usually Google. We usually do a lot of research beforehand. But this one we kind of this episode is from the heart.
Yeah.
And then we're kind of coming up with questions. But as a result, I was kind of like looking up. Well, to be honest, I was looking up who played Ben because I thought it was Robin Williams in my head, and then I was like, I don't think it was, and obviously now I know it's Martin Short. But at the end, it talks about why like there wasn't like a treasure planet. Apparently, there was supposed to be a Treasure Planet 2, and it talks about in the article I'm reading why there wasn't. But then it has this, which I think find interesting. I hope listeners do too.
Yeah.
Following the box office failure of Atlantis: Lost Empire, Disney planned a second attempt to revise its Submarine Voyager ride with a Treasure Planet theme, but these plans were scrapped due to both films having a terrible, basically, financial performance.
So basically,
would then be reopened later on in 2007, and it would be Finding Nemo themed. So, like I suppose that they went and did Pirates of the Caribbean movies to kind of bolster the ride in the theme park.
It sounds like Atlantis and Treasure Planet were specifically designed to bolster the ride.
Yeah, a submarine ride, which is now the Finding Nemo submarine voyage. But apparently, originally, it was just a normal, like, submarine ride. And they wanted to rebrand it with a kind of an Atlantis theme. And then when Atlantis did badly at the box office, they tried again with Treasure Planet. And they were going to kind of use the submarine voyage, I suppose, same ride, but we're just going to judge it up and we're going to make it Treasure Planet themed. And then it did badly. Treasure Planet did badly at the box. But they are, I agree with you. I think they're massively marketed towards little boys, or the idea was that they would be marketed towards little boys. That kind of sense of adventure.
Yeah, I feel like that's what they went with, and I feel like that is what ended up like hurting them at the box office. Because I'm not saying that like these wouldn't work. That wouldn't work because it does work. But the problem is that's not what Disney was associated with at the time. Disney was associated with the princess movies and things like that. Pixar eventually ended up helping change that when like you add in the Pixar to the Disney brand, but obviously in the beginning Pixar was their own thing. But you had Pixar for what people would see as boy stuff and Disney for what people saw as girl stuff. Now, obviously, to as you put it, our more Gen Z audience, that's going to be foreign because you're like, wait, Disney just does gender neutral content, not in like the early 2000s. In the early 2000s, it was specifically geared that way. When they did all the Tinkerbell movies, they specifically like marketed them so that they were geared to little girls. Because I remember being dragged by our little sister to watch all those Tinkerbell movies, which I say dragged, but I was dragged to watch them because they weren't marketed at me. And so I was like, I don't want to watch these. These are girl films. Sat down to watch them. They're not bad. they're not bad. They're actually quite entertaining. It's just that the marketing put me off.
But I guess I'm now thinking, like, we're talking about that as if it's a modern thing, actually. But now I'm thinking on the other end of the spectrum, another film I know we have spoke about it, but not in this context. That I'm thinking of the Black Cauldron and like Princess Eloise. I think that's how you pronounce her name.
Elonwy.
Elonwy. Like she's very much, Tristan comes to record. Oh my god, is his name Tristan? Why is my brain going mental?
Tristan, the farmhand.
Yes. And she's like, I don't need no rescuing. I'm going down here. You can come if you want. And then he ends up basically following around like a lost puppy for the majority of the movie.
Now, put that in a modern day setting, that film would have made gangbusters. Because look at like Frozen and stuff like that, where the main protagonist is a female, and they're like, I don't need no man to help me do it.
I'm not sure that that's the reason Black Cauldron didn't do too well.
No, I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying that like if that it would have helped it, because I feel like that helps out Black Cauldron's plot. Because when you watch Black Cauldron again, it's very, this is going to be your edgy Disney movie. Like, they're very, I don't want to say they're very self-aware of it, but like they kind of like do kind of push it in your face a bit. And Tristan's kind of annoying. I'm not a pig hand, I'm a knight. He repeats it about 10 times.
It's a very dark movie, it's Black Cauldron.
Yes.
Actually quite scary. It's supposed to be children's.
I wouldn't put it on for anyone under the age of 8, personally.
But yeah, that one's probably also one. I know that one kind of came up when we were trying to figure out what the hell Gurgi was.
Yeah, apparently he's a troll, but
the troll people. It was answered for us. But yeah, that's a very kind of out again in the same way that you're saying the other two were kind of not what you'd expect of Disney. Black Cauldron's very much a film that you wouldn't associate naturally with Disney.
Yeah, it's very, the Horned King scared me as a kid.
I think the idea of an army of the dead is a bit creepy.
The fact that he falls into the cauldron and that's how he's defeated is very, very Lord of the Rings.
Well, doesn't he basically he gets sucked in bit by bit, doesn't he? Disintegrates into.
It disintegrates into the cauldron. It gives me very much the One Ring being thrown into Mount Doom vibes. So.
But then I did again. This one's not Disney. It is. Oh, I don't know if you can hear him. I want to say it's Warner Brothers, but in the same breath that you'd have like this darker movie, I'd say Anastasia,
Oh, Anastasia
which was
is very dark, yeah.
very dark, which obviously was, but that kind of also had that kind of mystical princess vibe to it too, because obviously she's a princess. So it kind of melded kind of princess with the darkness. I'd say that I think that's probably where Anastasia kind of got it right. Whereas even though you have a princess in Black Cauldron, and you could kind of use some of the light, the film's not like that at all. No
No.
one would be dragging a princess along with doll afterwards or dressing up as her, because the film really just is about the Horned King and this
So,
darkness.
ironically, Anastasia did not start out its life as part of the Disney brand, but through the Fox acquisition, Anastasia is now technically a Disney movie.
Oh, is it actually? That's quite funny.
Because Anastasia was made by Fox, 20th Century Fox Studios, and
Right.
Disney now owns 20th Century Fox Studios. So Anastasia is now technically owned by the Walt Disney Corporation.
Anastasia Romanov, a real Russian princess in real life and a Disney princess in animation.
Yep. That is ironic.
I guess the question becomes like, what is it then that makes them underrated as movies? Like, what do we actually think is the real reason that they? Because we've got like that maybe the tone isn't right. Because at first, obviously, we were looking at maybe just not marketed properly. Maybe actually now what we're hinting is that there's a certain thing that people expect when they come to see a Disney movie.
I
But then at
mean,
the same time, like you've just said, Disney has acquired so many studios in the past
yeah.
couple of years.
I
What
feel like
actually
that's
cost them was like
shifted
kind
at
of
this point, and I feel like this is why there's been a resurgence to these underrated Disney movies. Like, a lot of people have been coming out saying, "Oh, these are fantastic movies. These are the people have been picking them up and being like, why aren't these like bigger names? Why aren't these getting live action remakes
oh,
and
I would love a live action remake of Atlantis.
stuff like that?" And I feel like
Mm.
that is because with Disney diversifying into Star Wars, into Marvel, into all the stuff they got when they bought Fox, all everything else like that, all the movies that Pixar has made that most people don't even go Pixar anymore. They go, "Oh, that's a Disney film," and stuff like
Like,
that.
what have you got any examples of movies that are actually not Disney but people think they are?
So I know that I was talking to other people that have been on the podcast, and when I
Mhm.
mentioned the movie Onward,
Oh yeah.
they thought that was a Disney movie. It's a Disney Pixar movie,
Okay.
and
And
actually was considered underrated. Now, I personally believe that the only reason Onward is considered underrated is because of COVID, the dreaded
I
C
think
word.
yeah, sorry to bring it up, guys. But yeah, Top Gun is basically a live action D&D game, really, isn't it? Live action. What am I talking about? That one's essentially a animated film for D&D.
I mean, yeah, I mean it's one of the multitude of films that is D&D coded. You've got Onward, you've got A Road to El Dorado, you've got The Mummy, 1, 2, 3.
Wait, what?
Think about The
You don't
Mummy.
even you
Th-
think The Mummy is a D&D type coded
th-
movie?
think about The Mummy. Think about how it's put together. You've got the guy who's part of the Ancient Order, sworn to protect the tomb.
Yeah.
You've got Brendan Fraser's character.
Yeah.
I always forget which woman it is because they switched the actress.
Oh, you're on about Rachel Weisz as Evie.
Evie, I forgot a character's name. Evie, and then you've got her brother.
Yeah.
They all
Jonathan.
come together and form a group, or should we say a party,
Oh my god.
to defeat an ancient evil, the Mummy, from rising again. It's a D&D one-shot.
Okay, so in your in your kind of roundabout way, what is Evie? So Evie's the kind of wizard because she's a bookworm.
Yeah, she'd be like she's the scholar type. Then
Yeah.
you've got the
Rick is
ancient
the
order
rock.
guy is like the swordsman, the fighter. You've got like Rick's probably like
rogue.
Brendan Fraser's character in it.
Yeah.
The rogue, and then her brother's a bard.
Oh my god. May read from the forbidden book.
Like, yeah, tell me I'm wrong.
There's an argument. There is an argument there. Now you're making me want to play a mummy-themed D&D one-shot.
They just keep going back. Like, the Mummy 2. It's just another D&D one-shot where the mummy comes back, and this time he's got another MacGuffin.
This time he's the rock.
We don't talk about that.
With a very, very, very bad wig.
We don't talk about that CGI. And then we got Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. The guy got bored with the regular mummy. The DM got bored with the...
We're not talking about Tomb of the Dragon Empire. I refuse to put that as part of the sequel franchise. It's a nice little spin-off alternate reality.
Yeah, exactly. The DM got bored of playing the same BBEG, so we wrote a new one, and every character hated the new campaign, so they don't consider it canon to the world.
I don't necessarily think the mummy has to be set in ancient Egypt as part of the franchise, but I genuinely, no hate to the new actress, but the Evie of that film is not
Evie.
the Evie. Yeah, she's not Evie.
Yeah, so...
Just as a side note, I know this is about Disney movies and everything, but like apparently they're planning on possibly making another sequel to The Mummy, which in my head would be The Mummy 3, actually starring Rachel Weisz and John Hannah and Brendan Fraser again.
If they do that, they've got to bring Tom Cruise in for like a small cameo, just to like poke fun at the fact that he did his own version.
Yeah, because they're supposed to both be based off the same original source material, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. But yeah, okay, right. There's another episode in here somewhere, really, isn't there, about films that D&D have inspired.
Oh,
or D&D.
I'm gonna say because tell me, right? Like you can't tell me that The Road to El Dorado isn't also just two bards fucking about.
To be fair, The Road to El Dorado does very much read like what would happen if you just had a party of bards, or you put the bards in charge.
Exactly.
They even have a lute.
Exactly.
Like, I think it's Tulip Miguel, isn't it? Who just basically carries his lute around with him everywhere.
And
another excellent movie.
And
was
then
that one underrated? Oh, it's not.
It's not Disney. It's not Disney, but I would class it as underrated, yes. If you want us to do an underrated animated movies, we can do that.
I love The Road to El Dorado.
I love The Road to El Dorado and Sinbad.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one too.
And whether you're a religious person or not, The Prince of Egypt slaps.
The Prince of Egypt soundtrack, though.
It slaps. Whether you're religious or not, it slaps. Like, 100%.
It didn't have to go that hard.
No, it didn't. I know we've moved away from Disney for this entire mini section, but like, I'm sorry, I had a little bit of a tangent. I couldn't help it. It's just because Onward is definitely just D&D. Someone played D&D and wrote it down and was like, I want to make this into a Pixar movie. It's
a beautiful movie, though. If no one gets anything from this movie, if no one has got anything from this podcast, go watch that movie.
Yeah, like, if you definitely go watch Onward.
Go watch it.
It has Tom Holland.
Yeah. But Onward, I like we said, people have talked about Atlantis and Treasure Planet and stuff on the on social media, we're not the only people that think that these should have got live actions. I
No.
don't see a lot of people talking about how Onward should get more love. So, go watch it.
So, I know you've been listening to me and Ashley ramble on about some of the movies we're more familiar with that we'd consider underrated and that. And obviously, while you've seen some of them, you're not as familiar with them as we are. What would you consider underrated? Like, what's one of your top underrated Disney movies, Katie?
Oliver and Company.
Oliver and Company. That is one that I didn't actually think of. So, for the listeners at home, Oliver and Company is Disney's interpretation of the Oliver Twist story, but told through animal companions. So, like, Oliver himself is a ginger tabby cat, I believe, where the rest of the Fagin crew are dogs. And apart from Fagin and Sykes, they're all humans, as well as the people that end up adopting Oliver in the end, they're humans as well. So,
He's a Jack Russell Terrier.
played by Billy Joel, of all people. Well, voiced, but played by Billy Joel. I think that ties back to what me and Ashley were saying, though, earlier about, like, how a lot of these underrated people have star-studded casts. Wouldn't you agree with, like, how Billy Joel was Dodger in Oliver and Company, and we have Michael J. Fox voicing Milo in Atlantis?
A little.
Like, despite them not being one of Disney's, like, top movies, they have, like, famous actors, don't they, or singers, in the case of Dodger, as their voice actor, which wouldn't, I mean, you can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you think that's a bit of a letdown for those people?
Maybe.
So what makes you like Oliver and Company then?
The song. What he sings. Why should I worry?
Oh, like Dodger's big song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is one of the best parts of the film. I can grant you that.
I watched that so recently, actually. But a certain doggo decided to turn it off.
So your dog's not a fan of it then?
No.
Yeah, I watched it recently myself with my little sisters. They were having a bit argument on what to put on the TV while they were visiting Ashley and Little Nerd. Everyone had gone for a nap, and I decided, like, as the older brother, I was like, no, we're not doing this. Oliver and Company. So put it on, and when I say my 6-year-old little sister shut up and watched that entire film all the way through without talking through it and just, like, cuddled up and watched the film, I mean, that's exactly what happened. Like, and we watched, I think it was Bolt later on that night, and she did not act like that through Bolt. She got bored, but for some reason, something about Oliver and Company just kept her entertained.
Because it's a musical and it gets them quiet. Might be the music, because it gets them, like, might get the kids into the music of the film.
So, like, the rhythm of the film through, like, the jazzy blues soul style music that we get throughout the film. You think that's what kept her entertained rather than Bolt, which is quite action packed and...
Yeah. She might not be into, like, the action type film. So, like...
But like a slow musical with a heartwarming story like Oliver and Company, you feel like that might be why...
Yeah.
Sorry, I feel like I'm talking for you, and I don't mean to do that.
You're not.
Is there any other movies? Because I know we've listed quite a few.
Aristocats, which is similar to Oliver and Company.
So I'm noticing a theme, and I think I noticed this theme last time we did a Disney episode together, and that's animals.
Mm-hmm. Animals are my favorite.
I personally, and you can boo me in the comments, everybody, I don't like Aristocats.
Everybody wants to be a cat.
Not me. I do not want to be a cat. Keep that film far away from me. It is boring.
It's not boring. It's fun.
Why is it fun?
Because it's all about cats.
Yeah, and a greedy butler that tries to off cats so that he can somehow inherit the fortune of his mistress. Why would the butler inherit?
Because he wants to make money from the kittens.
But I don't understand the premise of the film, though. Why would the butler inherit any money for the person that he works for when she kicks the bucket? That doesn't make any sense. And why is she leaving everything to cats in the first place?
Because cats rule the world. So does dogs.
Look, dogs are cute, I'll give you that. Cats, not so much.
There's nothing wrong with the Aristocats.
Yes, there is.
Especially with one song. Everybody wants to be a cat.
Why do you keep meowing at the end?
But it's a cat.
They don't meow at the end of that song, though.
Mm.
So, I take it that you're also a fan of Fox and the Hound.
Have you not seen that?
You've not seen Fox and the Hound?
No.
See, I would also consider that one to be underrated. And I thought with your love of animals, you would have seen Fox and the Hound.
No, I have seen Bambi, but I don't know if that's underrated.
I don't really know. I think that's like...
It's very sad at the end when Bambi's mum dies.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, if that's a spoiler a lot. If you've not seen it yet.
I mean, Friends kind of spoiled that years ago. So, if you've ever watched the sitcom Friends, which makes me feel old saying this, which ended in, I think it was 2004, and I would have been 5 years old. So, yeah, there's that. Let that hang in the air for a minute. Chandler kind of spoils what happens to Bambi's mum in there.
People are saying Bedknobs and Broomsticks are an underrated movie.
Bedknobs and Broomsticks is amazing.
Mm.
If no one's gone to see Bedknobs and Broomsticks, it literally answers one question that we've asked on the podcast multiple times. What household item can be used as a flying object for witches? And spoiler alert, the answer is not just broom.
You lay in it every night.
It doesn't have to just be a broom. It doesn't have to just be a bed. It can be any household object. There's your answer.
So it could be your wheelchair.
Yes, it could be my wheelchair. So for listeners at home, I think I've mentioned this before, but I am a wheelchair user. I have cerebral palsy. I have to use a wheelchair for long distances. If I haven't mentioned that before, this is your mention now. So there you go. Okay, so I think we've come to know that you really like the animal themed ones.
Yeah.
There are some Disney movies that some people might consider underrated that we've kept off this list on purpose because me, myself, and other nerds of the round table have decided that any Disney movie that has been awarded a live-action remake, love them or hate them, cannot be considered underrated as they've obviously made enough at the box office to warrant a live-action retelling. Therefore,
and if you've not watched the live-action Snow White, don't.
I haven't seen it, so there's your nerd of the round table recommendation. Do not watch the new Snow White, apparently.
It's not as good.
What? Yeah. So, if you were expecting us to talk about certain movies that you might yourself consider underrated that we haven't. I know that you, Caity, wanted us to touch on your favorite Disney movie.
Lilo and Stitch.
But like I said, because that has recently had a live action remake, we didn't consider that to be underrated enough to warrant being in this episode. If you would like an episode on Lilo and Stitch, I'm sure Caity would be glad to come back and film one.
Yep.
So let us know in the comments. I think that brings us to our final underrated movie, and one that ties perfectly in to the title of the other people on the podcast, and that is The Sword in the Stone.
What a chaotic movie Sword in the Stone is, or a movie that's basically retelling the Arthurian legend.
So it's specifically based on the book by T.H. White, which I own a copy of. Of course I do. I named you guys the Nerds for the Round Table. But so, okay, to just get it out of the way so that we're not addressing the elephant in the room, this movie is propaganda for going to school. Like, this entire film is just about getting your kids to go to school. Merlin just goes on about it through the entire film. I watched it yesterday, and I was taking notes throughout the entire film, and all I could think was, is this film just propaganda to get people to go into education? Like, because all he's saying is, a proper education will build you for a better life, Walt. Which is what they call Arthur throughout the entire film until the end.
I love the whole, like, if I remember rightly, there's a scene where Merlin finds out that, like, oh, the people in front of me, the little, the person in front of me is the person that will be this mythic king of England. And he looks at the knight that Arthur's squiring for, and he thinks, he's like, that's a good choice. And then it's like, no, it's the tiny child.
He's sat in his little living room, and he's like, he blows out a puff of smoke on his pipe. So you can tell it's a very old movie because they show someone smoking.
Yes.
And he watches, and then Cade comes into view, and he's like, no, not that one, not that one. Where is the one that should be showing up? And then Arthur comes, and he goes, yes, that boy. And then it's Archimedes that goes, he's too scrawny.
Yeah, I love the little fake out.
I do like the fake out where it shows Cade first, and then it's Archimedes with the sass that's just like, that scrawny boy can't do anything.
Yeah. And then the whole film is essentially Merlin kind of trying to train Arthur before he pulls the sword out of the stone on basically
without actually telling us that he knows who Arthur is, by the way. He says he knows Arthur's important, but he doesn't say why.
But he's essentially training him for all the skills he'll need to be this mythic king of England throughout the film. But apparently that includes battling a dragon, being changed into squirrels, and having weird squirrel love interests.
Okay, I might out myself here. Who else felt really sorry for the female squirrel?
Oh my god, she was heartbroken.
I was sat there, and I was watching the film with my partner. I turned to my partner, and I literally went, I'm sorry, but can't Merlin just turn the squirrel into a normal girl?
He threatens... That would have made the even crazier. And it's like, and now enter Guinevere.
He threatens to turn Archimedes into a human halfway through the film before we even meet the squirrel. So I'm sat there thinking, couldn't Merlin just turn her into a human? Because, like, look at her. They did not have to make her that heartbroken in the animation.
She's absolutely devastated.
She is. I remember it making me feel weird when I was a kid. Like, this is a very weird scene.
I think it is a bit of a weird film, to be fair. Merlin has a tantrum at one point and puts on a Hawaiian shirt and is like, I'm off to Bermuda.
Arthur squires for, it says, gets really excited because he's squiring for Cade in a tournament in London, and Merlin gets strop on because he's like, I thought you were committing to your education, and then it goes, oh, to Bermuda with you, and then blasts off to Bermuda in the 20th century. So apparently Merlin's a time traveler.
I think to be fair, that kind of tracks because isn't the idea, not that Arthur would know it, but I'm pretty sure in the original myth we're kind of told that Merlin waits for the return of King Arthur.
Yeah.
And they show that in Merlin, the TV series, actually. After the final scene of the TV series is Merlin in the modern day. King at Avalon, basically waiting for the day that King Arthur will return. So maybe, but I don't know, maybe we've all collectively decided that Merlin traverses time.
Yeah, I mean, at least that movie definitely decided that Merlin was a time traveler. He has steam trains and aeroplanes, and he knows the world is round when they still think the world is flat. So, and all that stuff. It's very weird. And then
I don't think we're necessarily selling it, but I do think it is worth a watch because, like we said, it was one for its time. It was very kind of unusual in kind of when you compared it to other kind of Disney films. It's an interesting take on the Arthurian myth. There's no Guinevere, there's no Lancelot, there's no Mordred in this film. This is purely about the relationship between Arthur and Merlin.
And there's no more.
Like a coming of age.
It's a coming of age story. You don't even meet Morgana in it. The only villain in the entire film is the marvelous Madam Mim. And try saying that 3 times fast.
And she's only really a villain because Merlin doesn't like her as a fellow magic user.
Yeah, she decides that she wants to destroy King Arthur because Merlin likes King Arthur and she doesn't like Merlin. That's it.
Yeah, so it's literally she's only a villain because they have beef. But it doesn't. As far as I remember, it doesn't actually go into why her and Merlin have beef.
Yeah, she uses black magic. Merlin doesn't.
Oh, okay.
That's the gist of it. They don't really explain it, but that's context clues.
There's definitely something that's gone off in their past though to make them both so avid.
Well, the way that Archimedes is about Madam Mim and the fact that they live so close together, my brain immediately they went out. Merlin dated Madam Mim. That's my headcanon. See, Little Man agrees with me.
Little nerd? You agreeing with Uncle Ethan? Yes, apparently.
So yeah, I think that's a good headcanon. I mean, I don't think we're selling it very well. I think the reason why is because it is wacky. It does feel like somebody wrote this version of the script high as a kite. Yes,
it does. I'd argue that there was probably someone in the studio around that time on LSD, because if you watch the Alice in Wonderland that they created, I'm assuming they're both done around the same time.
Yeah, they are done around the same time, yeah. So yeah, when you think about it, someone definitely went full Beatles.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say that the Alice in Wonderland Disney version, the stuff that happens in that is actually the same as the book. It's not a...
I mean, Madam Mim does show up. I don't think she has a name in the THY book, but there is a story about a witch in the woods.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize she was actually canon to the book.
And stuff like that. But if you're expecting, I think the best way to put it is if you're expecting the story of King Arthur, and you're expecting it to be set in Camelot, and and it's King Arthur, and he's got his Knights of the Round Table, and that's not the film. He's a 12-year-old kid. He's just met Merlin. He hadn't even pulled the sword from the stone yet. Does that at the end of the film. Like, that is where the film ends. He becomes the King of England at the end of the film.
Yeah, for a film that's called The Sword in the Stone, the actual sword in the stone doesn't feature very much at all.
It's mentioned at the beginning of the film. They mention the legend that, like, the former great King of England has died. No heir could be found, so a sword descended from the heavens, and whoever shall pull the sword from the stone shall be the rightful King of England. That is how the film starts. And then you have to watch the entire madness that is Merlin and Arthur's interaction before Arthur actually pulls the sword from said stone. Then the film ends with Merlin basically telling Arthur that he will have Knights of the Round Table, and Arthur being like, does it Knights of the Round Table? And Merlin jokes, well, do you want a square one? And Arthur's like, no, round will be fine. Like,
Yeah, so it's the prequel to the myth that you know, I guess.
It feels like there should have been a sequel. Like, there should have been a sequel to this film that never got made.
So, in terms of kind of just this quirky, kind of fun little ride through the myth of King Arthur, but without any of the kind of darkness that surrounds the original myth. Just a kind of little light-headed nod to it. It's worth a watch. I'd say it's a good Sunday afternoon watch.
Especially if you've got no on. My nana used to put it on just to keep us busy.
Yeah, it's the sort of film you watch after you've had your Sunday dinner.
And stuff like that. Like, it's just a nice, chill, relaxing watch. And then you can come away from it as an adult and be like, what the heck was that? Where your kids will be like, that was funny.
Yeah. So there's just a couple of movies that we think should probably get a lot more love than they do.
But if I was going to pick top 3 that I think you should definitely go away and watch from this episode, it would be Atlantis, Treasure Planet, and Onward.
Absolutely, completely agree.
And if you're wanting to step away from Disney, go watch The Road to Eldorado.
And if there's any that you think we've completely missed that people should be watching, let us know.
Yes,
let me know.
definitely.
Like I said, I want to compile a list of films that I need to be educating my child on. So you'll be helping me out.
Yes, definitely. I mean, obviously, we didn't cover anything that wasn't Disney today, so we can do another one if you guys want that isn't Disney, because I think there are a few that don't fall into the Disney category. Like I said, there's...
I'd love to talk about the movie that was Fern Gully.
Oh, Fern Gully.
I don't know if any of the listeners will have listened to watch that one. There's obviously Tim Curry as the bad guy. That's essentially a story about don't pollute the forest.
Yeah, that was a wild ride as well.
Yeah. And like the Don Bluth films that were done. So like Swan Princess, Thumbelina.
I mean, I'd even talk about some of the old Barbie films.
Oh my God, I was just thinking, like, would Barbie count? Does Barbie count in the nerddom? Because
Like,
Barbie has a lot of films.
I'm not talking like the Margot Robbie stuff. That's too a bit like mainstream. That's not underrated or anything like that. But I'm talking like the old Barbie and the Nutcracker.
Yeah, animated.
Man, there were other stuff. Like there was Barbie and the Nutcracker, Barbie,
Princess and the Pauper.
Princess and the Pauper, yeah.
Dancing Shoes.
They were all connected to Barbie telling stories to her little sister, and her little sister always had a different name.
Yeah, basically.
Or someone she was babysitting, and then you'd live out the story. Like Barbie did Thumbelina.
Barbie had a Thumbelina movie, but yeah, and the love interest always looks the same because it looks like a Ken doll, but at the same time, always had a slightly different name.
Yeah, and it was always like a slightly different variation of Ken too.
Yeah, But again, that came with quite a few musical numbers and weird and wonderful sidekicks.
Yes.
So yeah, so there's probably loads more out there. So I just want to know what. Yeah, I'm interested to see what the listeners think.
And obviously
Definitely
there'll be
scope.
definitely some 80s crackers that we don't know about.
Yes. Yeah, so we're talking about ourselves as if we're really old. Because, as a parent and in my 30s, I feel really old. But obviously, we're not. So there will be other movies that we're just not aware of because we were 90s children. But yeah. Also, let us know if you're up for a D&D in popular culture episode or in the movies, because I personally, definitely when we've finished recording, want to talk to you more about how The Mummy is a D&D campaign. And of course, even in the modern day, you've got Stranger Things. So there's definite scope for that episode too. So let us know if you want it.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to do that. Like I said, there's an argument to be made about The Mummy being a one shot, and if you want to chat about that, comment on this video or on any of our posts about it on the Instagram and Facebook that will probably come out around this episode, and we can chat about it, because like I said, that is something I am passionate about as well. So I think that being said, I think we've covered the underrated Disney movies that we set out to cover.
Indeed we have.
So thank you for joining me on this nostalgia trip.
What's your favourite Disney movie?
Mine, that depends. If we're considering Disney and Pixar as one entity, my answer changes, because Disney Pixar movie would be Cars.
Mm-hmm.
But my favourite Disney movie is Hercules.
No, honey, you mean Honkuley.
Well, with that then, guys, I think the only thing we've got left to say is have a great week and stay nerdy, everybody.
Bye.